So this is a big money saver unless I screw it up. It's basically a little bitty engine in there. We're starting to get some of that intensive exterior heat where opening your windows just isn't cutting it anymore. And I actually have a lot of work to do. This is pre R134A, which has also now been phased out, like twice over, I think. So this car actually has R12 in it. We'll look at that here in a second. I do have a little bit of extra work to do because of that. I've already installed the R134A fittings. I got myself a vacuum pump. It's brand new. I already filled the oil on it. The very first thing we're gonna do is do a vacuum on the system and just see if it's gonna hold pressure. Mine definitely isn't because it is 100% empty. There was not a lick of pressure inside the line. But I'm curious if it's gonna show because a very small leak may not show up on a vacuum test. But it could be seeping all over the place. So I'm replacing every single O-ring on the system. I'm gonna replace the receiver dryer, which is down there. I have a new expansion valve. So yes, I do have to pull the evaporator box from out behind the dash. Luckily on this car, it's not that bad compared to most. And I'm replacing the seals inside the compressor. And then a shaft seal kit. Vacuum pump on. And there we go. We're pulling just about 30 inches of mercury in vacuum on the low and the high side. This is just a test, but the real point of the vacuum is to suck all the moisture out of the system because moisture is bad for air conditioners. The rest of the vacuuming is gonna come right before we refill the system. Shut off the pump. Okay, went and ate some lunch. It's been probably almost an hour actually, and it is in the exact same place. So this brings a funny thing up. It's going to leak out a lot easier under pressure. So this is not a definitive test. If you have a known leak, look for signs of oil, a sticky residue. The most common place we would see them is the crimp joints between rubber and metal. All of that looks okay on mine. So like I said, instead of replacing the compressor, I decided to spend $40 or so on the seals for it. We'll find out in this video if it works out. Ew, who left cheese stick wrappers in here? Is there a hidden screw back here? I forgot. What is this, the tweeter? I sure would not like to break this. There it is. Would be a good time to put some bigger thumpers in here. Fun stuff. Ugh. I think that's all the bolts under here. Oh, no, one more way up there. Look at that, another one. All right, that has to be it. Yeah, there we go. Now I gotta loosen the two evaporator lines down here. You can see those guys hanging out right there. I'm gonna cap the lines off before I run it through the firewall too, so a bunch of 35-year-old fuzz and gunk doesn't fall inside. So as soon as these lines loosen up, we're also gonna see a drop in the vacuum, or a rise in pressure. It's gonna equal itself back to atmospheric. You'll never believe it, but I forgot another nut. This is definitely the last one. I said that 7 times now, I think. On most cars, to get the evaporator out, you have to pull the entire dash. The steering column has to drop down and the whole dashboard comes out. Those were absolutely some of my least favorite jobs. Just because it's one of the easier ones doesn't make it easy. All that gunk in there, that's why they started using cabin filters. All right, I cut these foam gaskets right there at the seam with the utility knife so we don't rip them. Separate the evaporator housing. This is exciting stuff, man. I used to do this every day, and I don't necessarily miss that, though I certainly loved it and I worked for a good dude. But just getting this old car up and running again, I love that stuff. Loosen, reinstall with new O-rings, tighten. And there it is. Piece the box back together. All right, evaporator is in. I've got the lines still capped, and I still got to flush the lines. Now I got to pull the condenser out. Always scary when a bolt hasn't been removed in 35 years and it doesn't come out easily and it might break. So I've talked about this whole flushing thing. The main reason I have to do it is because I went from R12 to R134A. The oil that they use to lubricate the compressor in an R12 system is not compatible with R134A oil, or at least not very compatible. So I have to flush everything that I'm not replacing or rebuilding. So you flush if you have a compressor failure or you're changing refrigerants, or if you have other reason to believe that it needs to be flushed out for whatever reason. So if you don't have to deal with any of that garbage, all you really got to do is fix the leak, which again could be all those O-rings, and then properly fill it with refrigerant, which we're going to get to that in just a minute. Condenser access usually takes a little bit of body work. Now we have fresh condenser access. Power clean and flush. We're already there. We gotta pop this dude. And we gotta pop this dude. You gotta blow a lot of compressed air, dry all this stuff out. Oh God, it went everywhere. Oops. What am I doing? Put these on. Every time. Oh, she comes out with some force, I'll tell you that. Original Toyota belt from 1991. 85,000 miles. Those compressor bolts meant business. Hopefully that'll come out without having to take this radiator hose off. It's a lot of work for a little bit of cold air. Hopefully it's a lot of bit of cold air though. Oh yeah, there we go. Ugh. When you decide you need air conditioning, the HVAC control module sends a signal here to energize this clutch. And then that magnetizes to the pulley and will now spin with the pulley, pumping the refrigerant. Hey, and by the way, if you're finding this video to be fun, helpful, or informative, there is no better time than now to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that. That worked. I see some little tiny hairline fractures in this. Nope, never mind. I did not see that. Oh, we're getting something now. Yeah, I see it. I have never disassembled a compressor, so I hope this is right. Should probably unscrew this. Ooh, that's been in there a while. Again, every single O-ring is 35 years old on this car, so even the limit switches have to get pulled and matched up. So far, every single O-ring has been flat, practically looking like a square cut seal. So I'm pretty confident that's where the thing was leaking at. However long ago this stuff leaked out, it could have been 20 years ago. You can see the compressor doing its compressor things. You could always do this instead of replace your compressor if it wasn't a catastrophic failure that grenaded the insides. As I said, I've never done this before, I've always replaced it. Luckily, the compressor looks practically perfect on the inside. So this is a big money saver, unless I screw it up. That's what's going on inside your AC compressor. It's basically a little bitty engine in there. So I've got my compressor seal kit, the first of which will go right there. Now, arguably the part that I'm most worried about is the shaft seal. That's this fella. Yep. All kinds of funny shaped discs in this here unit. There is a snap ring. I'm not very excited that this seal looks different. In fact, I'm quite Disexcited about that. Nothing wrong with a revised part if it's revised better than the old one. Lubrication. All right, I think we're seated. New snap ring. Okay, now this is the part I'm most worried about. This whole assembly, seal and all, has to slide down over this shaft, also over these splines, and those splines are going to tear the crap out of the seal. You're supposed to cover them. There's a special tool for that, and I couldn't find it, at least not a cheap, like, one-time use. So I got to figure out my own way, and I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. That then gets followed by this big, beautiful machined hunk of steel. It's like an 1/8 inch thick. This compressor seal kit came with new internal gaskets, but they are not separating from this little valve plate assembly, so I'm afraid I'm going to damage it, and I guess I have to reuse these. Never mind, it seems to be working. Just a little nervous about it. These two are really happy together. There we go. And new gasket. Fantastic. So I've been warming up this seal with a 7mm socket in it. Well, this might be the only smart idea I've ever thought of in my life, but some 1/2 inch heat shrink tubing. Oh my gosh. This might be the second only good idea I've ever had in my life. Remove this garbage. This was a terrible idea. This needs all the lube. Please work well, without failure. 100% in my favor. Oh man, it's getting stuck. Oh, that can't be good. The seal is stuck between the caulk tube and where the shaft gets bigger, so I cannot pull it off. If I do that, it'll tear itself on those splines. So the only way forward is down. And it will not. There it goes. I sure hope it's okay, but I really... Oh. Great. More good news. This was just not the right way to do this. Just so you know. Proper tools every time. Now what? Is that seal good, or do we know? I don't know. So basically, the two best ideas I've ever had were awful. I don't even know if the seal's damaged. It's not even worth continuing because it probably is. And I don't want to waste all this time and then have to get it evacuated. I screwed up. So does it suck major monkey bananas that I had to order another seal? On the bright side, I actually found the right one that had the metal on the outside. But guess what? $12, $28 to ship. The other seal was $28 total with shipping. But I'm still holding on to hope that this compressor is gonna seal, that it will hold up to the demands of the high pressure icicle juice that's about to be flowing through it. In the meantime, I guess I might as well get everything else back together. And remember, I'm doing this to every hose and component in the system, replacing every O-ring. Probably go ahead and do about 2 ounces in here. Making sure to put it on the inlet side so that it flows through the condenser and doesn't get sucked into the compressor too quickly. Well, I didn't mentally flip this thing around in my head the right way, and I did pour it in the outlet of the condenser. I should have poured it in here. That's fantastic. Yay for everything going right. I broke some plastic clips that hold some refrigerant lines, fixed them up with some rubber hose and zip ties. You see, the receiver dryer's job is to dry out any moisture that gets in the system. It's got desiccant in it, you know, those bags of things that come in boxes of shoes or almost anything that say do not eat. I know, it's always tempting. Plus there's some sort of filter in it. Okay, we're just waiting on you, Mr. Seal. And I'm back. We now have compressor shaft installation tools. Nope, compressor shaft seal installation tools. And it took more days than it was supposed to, of course, but we now have a new and more correct-ish shaft seal. Remove the old one that I screwed up. Here's a look at the two different styles. While I guess this one would work, the new one I got is exactly like the original. This is the adapter that fits the best. Nice and smooth with a perfect transition to the compressor shaft. I went ahead and added some dye to my oil bottle. All right, here we go. All right, let's not waste another $40. So smooth. Always use the right tool. Now the bolts along with new crush washers. Electromagnet assembly, the snap ring for it, and the pulley. Oh, that went on way easier than it came off. I had a socket out here ready to beat that bearing race down. Snapper doodle. My OCD is telling me to rotate that shim inside the clutch, and clutch assembly. All right, compressor is ready. Just gotta go ahead and pre-oil it. Oh, there's a frog in here somewhere. Oh, I forgot to mention, pressure has not raised at all. It's stayed at full vacuum for 3 full days now. Here goes that vacuum seal. By the way, I put 3 ounces of oil in the compressor, so that gives us 5.1 ounces so far. I think that actually is gonna be about perfect. Of course, I'm going to put the 35-year-old belt back on. Hasn't broken yet. At this point, it's a good luck charm. Nah, I'll be changing it when I do the timing belt and oil pump reseal. So there's every single seal we replaced. I haven't counted them. There's quite a few. New expansion valve, new receiver dryer. This pump has now been running for 5.5 hours. Don't worry about that. Burp, 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 burp. Got this on a scale so we can actually weigh how much refrigerant's going in. Now to start, we're going to use the vacuum that's already in the system to pull the refrigerant through. This manifold gauge actually has a purge button. Compressor has kicked on. So here we are about 2 weeks later, and finally we have a pretty warm day at 86 degrees. But after driving around for a few minutes, we are getting down to around 40 degrees. Something different in my case is that a system that was designed for R12 refrigerant will usually not be as efficient with R134A. That's just the nature of retrofitting, but as long as it keeps me comfortable, well then I'm pretty happy, and I saved a ton of money by doing this myself. And as always, I know you can too. And once again, I have an empty bay. So if you found this video fun or helpful, please like and subscribe.